So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy Ellen. I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. So listen, man, I want to start this video off by saying prayers to everyone out in Texas right now, man, affected by this tragic event that just took place, man. Like, it's stomach turning. It's just, you hate to even hear it, man. It's so sad, bro. You know what I mean? Anybody who has kids, you understand. And when you drop them off to school, it's getting scary to that point now that you don't even want to drop. Anyway, man, let's keep it moving before I get all into a mode, bro, because I've been dealing with a range of emotions ever since it came up on the news. So this video here is they found underground what no one was supposed to see, right? And people always getting lucky. Like, only thing it wasn't the only thing. I've never found nothing underground. You know what I found? I found myself getting in trouble when I dug holes in my mama's yard. You know what I'm saying? That's what I found, myself in trouble. How many of y'all can relate to that? I never found nothing that could be put up at a museum or Smithsonian or anything like that. Nothing. But some people just get lucky. So let's see what the lucky ones seem to have found in this video. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, join the fam, and let's check this out.
There are a lot of interesting things buried underground. Archaeological discoveries in particular are pretty amazing because they reveal a lot of things about the lives of ancient humans long forgotten. True. Each exploration and excavation, we continue to discover a lot of things, leaving us more curious about our past. Even today, there are still a lot of things being uncovered. For some, these things may simply satisfy their curiosity, but for many, this may be the key to the future of our race. From FERRARI DINO to ghost drawing, here are 15 most amazing things buried underground. Number 15. FERRARI DINO. Back in 1978, this huge 1974 DINO 246 GTS was found buried in someone's yard in Los Angeles. This discovery...
Bro, somebody found... How do you find a whole car underground? That's crazy. Hey, you ain't find that. Somebody told you it was in the area and you went looking. You ain't just stumble upon a whole car. Come on now.
Discovery immediately garnered extensive national media attention, and for some time, thousands of people were baffled as to how and why the car was buried. Exactly. Not just any other car for that matter. What they found was a priceless luxury car, completely covered in a tarp, loose plastic, and even blankets. Even towels shoved up the exhaust to keep worms and the water out. Whoever buried the car surely wanted it to be completely safe. Some children playing in the dirt reportedly noticed something shallowly buried, and the adults soon alerted the authorities. The car remained to be shrouded in mystery until they finally discovered its tantalizing backstory. If you like crime stories, then buckle up. The car was bought in October 1974 by a plumber named Rosendo Cruz from Alhambra, California, as a present for his wife. They used the car for a couple of months. However, in December of that same year, the car was stolen while the couple was having dinner. Car robberies happen from time to time, but this incident was a different one. A police report was filed, but the owners also filed an insurance claim. The case was ruled as a righteous theft, and the insurance company gave Mr. Cruz $22,500, the exact amount he paid for the car. But soon enough, the complete truth was discovered. According to reports, the thieves originally planned for the car to be taken apart, but they were working under the command of Mr. Cruz. The owner himself ordered the thieves to make the car disappear.
See, it's always something. That's why I was skeptical of them. You don't just come on, man.
So that he could file the insurance claim. Perhaps the most hilarious part of this whole situation is that the thieves forgot where they buried the DINO. They were supposed to take the car apart and dump it to leave no traces behind. However, it seemed like they wanted to keep it or sell it off. The car was then bought by another man fascinated by its crazy backstory and had it completely restored by a FERRARI expert. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now. Number 14. Ancient Luxurious Ride. In 2021, researchers in Italy discovered a very well-preserved ancient ride. They discovered a chariot at a villa outside of the well-known fallen city of Pompeii that was destroyed by a volcanic eruption back in 79.
Now, finding a chariot would be crazy, super dope, cool, all that type of stuff, man. Imagine that. And if you could get somebody to restore it, though, like, I don't want to restore it so it just goes and sits in a museum. No, I want to restore it to ride and say I rode a chariot.
9 AD. The vehicle featured bronze satyr, cupid, and nymph medallions, ropes with flower decoration, and high iron wheels, all of these completely intact. This is a ceremonial chariot, and it's considered the Lamborghini of chariots about 2,000 years ago.
See?
This was probably used as a means of transport by the elite to and from ancient events and festivals. Archaeologists were not only amazed by the chariot's design, but also by the fact that the chariot was spared by the collapse of the city during Mount Vesuvius' wrathful explosion. After all, Mount Vesuvius' pyroclastic flows and poisonous fumes not only destroyed Pompeii and the neighboring city of Herculaneum, but it also claimed the lives of about 2,000 people. This is the first chariot uncovered with this design and condition. It was preserved by the volcanoes ash and pumice. Number 13. Underground Amphitheater. Did you know that underneath the Guildhall building lies an ancient amphitheater? When the City of London tried to build an art gallery associated with the famous Guildhall building, they discovered a massive area of 2,000-year-old ruins underneath the establishment. The establishment itself is a well-known piece of government architecture, and it served as a venue for events, banquets, and formal ceremonies for centuries. The discovery just made the place all the more remarkable. What they discovered is a large Roman amphitheater that was once used for all kinds of public entertainment, from fights to public executions. The city still constructed the gallery while another team excavated the amphitheater, and they soon incorporated it into the gallery's final design. Today, the Guildhall Yard serves as the roof of the amphitheater, which still remains underground to preserve the place. You can see a wide circular mark on the stones of Guildhall Yard to signify the outline of the amphitheater below, symbolizing that despite being underground, the remarkable ancient location isn't forgotten. Number 12. Fancy Restaurant. For the first time, archaeologists found an entire thermopolium. It literally translates to where something hot is sold, which means it's an ancient snack bar. They discovered this ancient restaurant in Pompeii. Archaeologists were surprised by the well-preserved fresco and illustrations. This discovery provided them with valuable information about the gastronomic and eating habits of people in the ancient city before it got destroyed. There are about 80 of these ancient snack bars in Pompeii alone, and Romans were quite fond of them, as they were very popular at the time. Despite their numbers, this is the very first time that archaeologists uncovered one. They found nearly 2,000-year-old food in some of the terracotta jars in the snack bar, which contain pork, fish, snails, and beef. To keep the food warm, the vendors may have lowered the jars and pots into the counter, which had multiple circular holes. They found frescoes depicting chicken and 2 ducks hanging upside down. The illustration—
I don't even know why I frown my face when they said snails. I've eaten snail before. I think, isn't that I think it's conch or something like that. Yeah, something like that. I've eaten that before. I take that back. So, unfrown my face.
May have been the indicator of what food the vendor sold back then, which means Romans served a lot of animal products. There's also a clue that this restaurant may have been the mecca for a scrumptious dish described as honey-roasted rodents. It doesn't really sound appetizing to me, but
all right, now that one warrants a frown, bro.
Thousands of years ago, it might have been one of the best dishes they could eat. Of course, they also found wine in the shop, which is not really a surprise. They also discovered a decorated bronze drinking bowl, some wine flasks, and amphora used to store liquids. Interestingly, they also found human bones near the snack shop. Researchers hypothesized that the man may have been a hungry thief trying to survive by the time Mount Vesuvius erupted. Number 11. Roman Shipwreck. The ancient shipwreck has been buried below the sand until 2019, which ultimately preserved it until it was discovered. Almost 2 millennia ago, this Roman ship sailed across the waters of Spain until it capsized in shallow waters near the Bay of Palma in Mallorca. The wreck remained there undisturbed, complete with its cargo. In 2019, a storm uncovered the shipwreck. It was found 6.5 feet below sea level and 164 feet from one of the most popular beaches. Researchers were also astounded when they discovered that a naturally formed sand layer protected the ship from oxygen, which would have destroyed it. Measuring about 29 feet long by about 19 feet wide, the wooden ship is not only well preserved, but it also contains some interesting finds. The ship contained about 300 jars of wine, olive oil, and fermented fish sauce. Of course, they were completely
the 300 jars of wine make it worth it.
Gone, and researchers only found traces of them, but it's valuable information nonetheless. They also found a cooking pot, an oil lamp, shoes made of rope and leather, and the first ever carpenter's drill found in the region. These discoveries shed light about the beliefs and culture of the people at the time. The oil lamp contained the pagan symbol for the moon goddess Diana, but the jars were imprinted with Christian seals. According to researchers, the sailor might have been pagan, but they were tasked to transport Christian cargo strictly for business. Quite interesting, isn't it? Number 10. Baghdad Battery. When a German archaeologist found this artifact back in 1938 in what is now present-day Iraq, he was incredibly shocked and stunned. The Baghdad Battery, also known as the Parthian Battery, is the name given to a set of 3 artifacts. The artifact consists of a clay jar, a copper cylinder, and an iron rod. If it were to be filled with a weak acid just like vinegar, it would have produced about 1 volt. Not nearly enough to power something, but this creation is still very much ahead of its time.
Right.
Experts still argue that its true purpose and origin are still unknown. No one knows who created them or why. One hypothesis is that the battery could have been used to electroplate objects with metals, but there are no electroplated objects found near the area. Number 9. The Powerful Woman of La Almoloya. There are a few remarkable women in the ancient world. One great example is Cleopatra, one of the most famed and well-known figures in ancient Egypt. This discovery may prove that back then, many women have been powerful figures in society who held top positions. Back in 2014, archaeologists excavated the La Almoloya gravesite in Spain, and there they uncovered the remains of a woman with some silver jewelry, a symbol of luxury and power at the time. She was soon given the nickname of Princess of La Almoloya. They also found the remains of a man beside her, but unlike his female counterpart, he had no possessions that could have been described as luxurious. The woman had a silver diadem on her head, a necklace, and 2 bracelets. According to experts, the diadem on the woman's head may have been a symbol of power. The person may have once been a ruler or a prominent figure in the El Algar society that thrived in Spain from 2200 to 1550 BC. Certainly, only a powerful person would be buried along with a trove of ornate jewelry nearly 4,000 years ago. Interestingly, other graves linked in the Algar society show some patterns. Women were considered adults at a younger age than men, signified by the presence of knives and tools on graves of girls as young as 6 years old. Recent research also discovered that elite women in Argarian graves consumed more meat, which may symbolize that they held political power at the time. Number 8. Dead Sea Scroll in the Cave of Horror. After the initial discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, archaeologists in Israel finally discovered new fragments for the first time in more than 60 years. The scrolls were estimated to be nearly 2,000 years old, and the fragments were said to come from the Cave of Horror near the western shore of the Dead Sea. This cave is one of the 8 caves in the canyon of Nahal Hever, where people used to hide during a Jewish revolt against Rome in 132 to 135 CE. Now you might be wondering why it was called the Cave of Horror in the first place. It gained its nickname because a large number of skeletons, including those of children, were found inside. There were no traces of wounds on the skeletons, which is clear evidence that they've died from hunger and thirst. They found personal documents, a copy of a prayer written in Hebrew, and the scroll, which the fragments belonged to, along with the skeletons. With these fragments, experts got to take a glimpse of our ancestors' past. Aside from texts depicting evidence for the biblical books of Zechariah and Nahum, the scrolls also showed the dedication and passion of the people that tried to safely secure them. Number 7. Europe's oldest map. What you're looking at right now isn't just an ordinary chunk of stone. Believe it or not, this is the oldest map of Europe. This map was discovered in 1900 and was formally named the St. Belek slab. Would you believe that for almost a century, researchers were baffled as to what the carvings entail? Experts only realized that the slab may have been a map when the slab went missing. Fortunately, the slab was rediscovered again back in 2014. Thanks to modern technology, it's confirmed that this slab is Europe's oldest map linked to a territory. Perhaps 4,000 years ago, a ruler of a prosperous Bronze Age kingdom wanted to celebrate his success by commissioning a craftsman to make a 6.5 by 5 foot stone slab representing his territory. But once his rule ended, he was buried along with the slab, broken to represent the fallen kingdom. Who would have thought that a weird-looking stone slab contained a tragic history? Number 6. Roman crucifixion. We're all familiar with the practice of crucifixion during the ancient times, but evidence of this macabre punishment is actually quite rare. And so, when archaeologists found this artifact, they were quite surprised. A skeleton of a man with a nail through his heel was excavated in England, and it's the first example of crucifixion found in Northern Europe. The nail...
Why do we want to keep that though? As a reminder of that? Somebody explain that to me. I don't think we need any more reminders of that. I think we got enough. We're good. This is just... I still want to see it though. Is this... My bad.
Pierced through the man's heel bone, which according to experts is the most reliable physical evidence of crucifixion in the Roman world. Upon closer inspection, they found out that the bones were between 1,661 and 1,891 years old, between the years 130 CE and 360 CE. Unfortunately, despite this discovery, the reason for the man's tragic death and the man's identity will forever remain unknown. However, we do know that the Romans usually reserved crucifixion for condemned slaves and other people from the lower class. Aside from the Romans, it was also believed that Assyrians, Phoenicians, and Persians also practiced crucifixion in the ancient times. Number 5. 1800-year-old gladiator arena in Turkey. A team of archaeologists in Turkey made a very interesting discovery in 2020. With the help of 200-year-old records, they successfully found this ancient arena where gladiators and animals fought to the death thousands of years ago in the ancient town of Mastora, western Turkey. This is a very rare discovery linked to the Roman-era history of the town. The gladiator arena is perfectly preserved. Looking at the area, it's easy to imagine about 20,000 people cheering for the gladiators fighting at the center of the huge arena. It was
and y'all get mad at us for liking football and thinking y'all call football barbaric and stuff like, look at what they were doing. Exactly, now cut us some slack.
Believed that this arena was created when this region was rapidly expanding and increasing its wealth. At the time, men fought for their lives in battles against wild animals and even other men. The arena was buried by natural overgrowth.
Like for people's pure enjoyment and amazement and you know what I'm saying, entertainment.
But it also preserved and maintained the state of the area. And now it's time for today's topic. There have been many weird and strange archaeological discoveries. Among them are tiny coffins, strange alien-like hands, and tiny humanoid skeletons that many believe to have belonged to extraterrestrial creatures. At this point, it's not really surprising if we uncover stranger things in the years to come. After all, archaeologists still continue to uncover things buried by the sands of time. Take this photo as an example. It looks like it's a giant creature that resembles the
That looks very fake.
illustrations of the gods of ancient Egypt. With its size and limbs equipped with claws, this surely isn't an ordinary human. Is this one of the many fake archaeological finds and hoaxes? Or is there really a creature that lived millions of years ago?
That thing looked like a predator.
Still unknown by us humans, just waiting to be uncovered. As always, comment down below with the hashtag today's topic and let us know your opinion about what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving. Number 4. Dragon Man. The skull of the Dragon Man has a very interesting story. In the early 1930s, some locals discovered a very strange skeleton buried near Harbin, a city in China's northeastern province. He found the skeleton with an elongated cranium with a set of heavy brow bones. Only one tooth remained in its jawless cranium, but it had 3 roots, which is a rare characteristic among us modern humans. For some reason, the man decided to take the skull away in an abandoned well until it was discovered once again, almost 90 years later. Researchers called the skull the Dragon Man, making him the representative of a new human species, Homo longi. According to studies, the man may have died at least 146,000 years ago. Curiously, the man had a mixture of both ancient and modern anatomical features, but his enlarged skull and defined brow bones are very distinct among all the other ancient human fossils. Number 3. Eternal Lovers. Perhaps there's nothing more heartbreaking than seeing the death of a loved.
Is it just me, or did y'all notice the hand placement? All right, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe it's late. My eye. All right.
Eternal lovers. Perhaps there's nothing more heartbreaking than seeing the death of a loved one. And so when archaeologists exhumed these skeletons, they were greatly moved and amazed. While excavating a grave that's about 1,500 years old, they uncovered a rare double burial, or a lover's tomb. Inside were the remains of a man and a woman locked in an eternal embrace. The woman still has a plain silver band on her ring finger, symbolizing their undying love. Perhaps the couple wanted to be together and embraced each other in hopes of staying together, even in the afterlife. The couple likely lived during the Northern Wei dynasty, back when the region was unstable due to politics, religion, and cultural diffusion. The story of how their lives ended is quite tragic. Based on the injuries found on the skeleton, the man likely died due to an injury or illness, and the woman took her own life to be buried with him. It's also possible that both ended their lives to die together.
Now that's love, commitment. You know what I mean? She took her own life to be with him.
We'll never know what really caused their deaths, but this just shows how strong human emotions are. Number 2.
Crazy.
Oldest pet cemetery. Archaeologists in Egypt discovered this 2,000-year-old burial ground filled with different well-loved animals. They uncovered cats, monkeys, dogs, and even a piglet. Ancient Egyptians are known for mummifying the dead as they think highly about the afterlife. Aside from people, they also mummified animals, mostly to honor the gods. But in this case, it seems like this cemetery is solely dedicated to animals that were treated as pets by the ancient Egyptians. Unlike the other animals found in ancient Egyptian burials, the animals archaeologists found in this cemetery showed no sign that they died at the hands of men. They clearly weren't sacrifices to the gods, and they died as well-beloved pets. Not all of the animal remains were mummified, but some of them were stored in makeshift tombs adorned with collars, shells, and other honorable trinkets. Back then, cats may have aided the ancient Egyptians as mousers, and the dogs may have guarded and helped their masters to hunt. Among the skeletons, they found a cat with deformed limbs and a dog that was nearly toothless. They even found tiny toy dogs that were too small to guard or hunt, which means people back then may have also been fond of these tiny creatures so much that they buried them properly. Number 1. Ghost drawing. If you're scared of ghosts, don't worry because you're not alone. Thousands of years ago, some of our ancestors may have also been terrified of these entities. Archaeologists just discovered the world's oldest drawing of a ghost hidden in the British Museum. The drawing was inscribed on an ancient Babylonian clay tablet created about 3,500 years ago. The stone depicted a lonely male ghost being led into the afterlife by his lover. There have been exorcists in ancient times, and one of their tasks was to help people get rid of spirits and ghosts. Half of the tablet is missing, but experts still deciphered the text behind the tablet, which tells very specific instructions for dealing with a ghost. The ritual instructs to make figurines of a man and a woman and to dress both in very specific clothes. There's also a couple of things you need to prepare, and a couple more actions to perform each day with specific times to make sure that the ghost is rid of after the ritual. What's more horrifying is that the text ends with a warning that says, "Do not look behind you." It seems that people thousands of years ago also experienced some pretty nasty jump scares. I can't help but imagine the story behind this illustration. Just imagine a family needing an exorcist to get rid of the spirit of an annoying loved one that continuously roamed around the house. The way the illustration was marked in the tablet is also quite special. Initially, no one really paid attention to the tablet, and it was stored away in the vault of the British Museum, almost forgotten. Then one day, they discovered that under the right lighting, there lies an illustration of a ghost being lured by a lover. The icing on the cake? They discovered the tablet before Halloween, so the historically accurate story was a nice change from the common creepypastas being shared during the event. Which of these discoveries amazed you the most? And do you know of any other archaeological artifacts discovered recently?
I think the crucifixion one was the craziest one to me. I'm still like, it shouldn't be there, but I understand why it's there. I don't want to see it, but I kind of do. So I get it, you know what I mean? I get it. It's still weird to think about that being there, but if I went there, I definitely want to go see it, you know what I mean? Well, what was it for y'all out of this video that was the craziest underground? I don't think everything was an underground discovery either, but you know how that goes. But yeah, which one was the craziest for y'all? Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what you think. And stick around and stay tuned, man. Until the next one, I'm gone. Peace.